My Castle.
My Lords, it's a great pleasure to follow the noble Lady Baroness Boycott in her powerful speech and very clearly outlining why one of these amendments should be on the face of the bill. Ministerial commitments are just words, only apply to that person in post. Now, I thank the noble Lord Oates for outlining Amendment 14, which I wish to express my support for, but I also rise to speak to Amendment 21 in my name and thank the noble Baroness Lady Boycott for her support for it. Given the noble Lord Oates has already outlined so clearly Amendment 14, I'll just briefly reflect on the practical reality of it. I was talking to a talk show host, radio talk show host was talking to me and complaining to me that everyone talks green now. And then she got a little upset when she saw that I was smiling when she said that. And it's true, but as I said to her, talk is great. There's a lot of truth in that statement, but talk is only hot air until we have delivery, until we have commitment. And I think it's very clear that the government is making these commitments, is as chair of COP26, taking its place at the forefront of the world's talk on these things. So it's very hard to see why it would have any objection to either of these amendments, particularly I'm starting on Amendment 14. It is on the climate emergency that the government claims world leadership, and surely that world leadership should be reflected in every bill that goes through your Lordship's House. Now, I'm going to focus mostly on Amendment 21, and the noble Lady Baroness Boycott has already started on this point, but I want to actually go back to the words of Lord Goldsmith of Richmond, the minister who, in our first day of debate on these amendments, was answering an oral question from Lord Randall of Uxbridge. And Lord Goldsmith said then, the key principle of the Convention on Biological Diversity is that biodiversity should be mainstreamed. Mainstreamed meaning there, present in everything you do, everything that's done. Now, I don't think that biodiversity on its own entirely covers every environmental aspect we're looking at. There's obviously the COP next year on biodiversity matching up with the COP on climate. There are many other issues, from soil health, from plastics, many other issues to raise, but those are two good places to start. Now, I'm not going to, I admit to your Lordship's House, a rather long amendment, so I'm not going to go through it all in great detail, but I'll just make the point about some of the key points of this amendment. It's about the maintenance of the UK's levels of statutory protection in relation to human, animal or plant health, life or health, animal welfare and the environment. It's about the net zero carbon emission by 2050. It's about the goals and targets contained in the Environmental Improvement Plan, including the 25-year Environment Plan. It's about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the things that are notable about all of those things is I'm not setting out some Green Party wonderful targets of a transformed world. What I'm setting out there are all things that the government, I'm sure would tell you, has enthusiastically embraced and signed up to. This is about the government living up to its own commitments, its own legal responsibilities. Now, we know, and your Lordship's House has played a part in ensuring that the government skated up to dodging its international legal responsibilities and then was pushed away from that in terms of other bills, and that has done real damage to the UK's international reputation. So by putting an amendment like this onto the face of the bill, that would go some way towards restoring the UK's international reputation. And one more point to reflect on, because it's been a long afternoon and maybe a longer evening. Of course, at the moment, there's a huge focus in the midst of a global pandemic on public health. And this amendment, my Amendment 21, in fact refers to public health. But it's not that public health and the environment are two separate things. We can only have a healthy society. We can only have our people being healthy if they live in a healthy environment. So these amendments are very closely linked, essential to restoring the public health, the well-being of the people of Britain, not just the environment as a separate category. Thank you, my lords.